Hello and welcome to Smash Writing. This is Redfield, who's already trying to choke me again. Hopefully it won't be as bad as the last time. And today we are going into the foggy lands known as Silent Hill 2, brought to us by Team Bloober. I've been eagerly anticipating this game's release. I love me some Silent Hill. I love the foggy world, the barbed wire, the razors, the deep psychological scars that come with it. It's all a great time. I even had some faith in this one. I didn't think that Konami and Bloober would drop the ball here. Silent Hill 2 is too big of a name to drop. I prefer Silent Hill 3 myself. But even I recognize the fact you can't fuck up this title. People who love this game love this game. It's like the Halloween and the Scream in the movie world. And I didn't think the ball would be dropped. So let's check in and see how well they did, shall we? We're going to start off my gameplay. I'm going to go into my review. Then I'm going to give my grade. And after that, though, I'm going to go into a bit of a fucking rampage. So anyone who doesn't want to see it can still get my grade and my review and then carry on their merry way. Alright, let's go. Dive in time. The game started like everyone else's. Meeting James Sunderland in a disgusting roadside bathroom. Wondering how his wife, who's been gone for 3 years, has sent him a letter requesting his presence in Silent Hill. We trek off and we run into Angela, who's got a story of her own, but we don't know what it is quite yet. We make our way into town. We're enjoying the views. We get attacked by our first monster, known as the Lying Figure. A fight I barely scraped by. Really hoping that wasn't a sign of things to come. As I set out, I fixed the record player, got the working, got my key, and we made our way to the Woodside Apartments. And I got myself lost there for a little bit. We eventually ran into, who we had to. We met up with Laura. We saw Pyramid Head for the first time. We got our gun and flashlight, and we got introduced to the most vile, despicable, bane of my existence creature in this game, the mannequin. Who will continuously, throughout this game, beat the ever-living shit out of me. At every goddamn moment. But we powered through. We got that epic scene with Pyramid Head for the first time. We get to the other world. We struggle a little bit with the clock. Mostly we struggle with that math skills. But we managed to get through. And we get to our first big fight scene, Pyramid Head. And I knew you just had to burn the clock. I figured just like the OG, burn that clock. And I'm not going to lie, he did get me. I underestimated that swing path. But I am a student, a former student, Grand Master, Looper, and Dead by Daylight. So the second time, easy peasy. Made it out of there with a lot of ammunition, some health, and off we go. We see Laura again, who tells us off about Mary, and then we run into Maria. They did some great work with Maria. And then we head off. And I doomed myself from getting the Maria ending right from the get-go. Because right from the start of this game, I made myself a promise, my own personal mission, to break every single window I came across, and boy did I. And that's a strike against you with that Maria ending. But don't worry, it wasn't just that. Because while I was getting punched in the face by the mannequins along our route, she was covering for me by taking all the acid spray from the Lying Figures. So yeah, there was no chance of getting that Maria ending by the time we made it to the hospital. And this is where the wheels really started falling off. Not particularly the hospital, but after you defeat the Flesh Lips and you get the Otherworld Hospital. I got so lost and so battered that by the time Maria passes away, and we make the run through the streets to the abyss. Arriving at the prison, I had almost no healing. I had almost no health. I had almost no ammunition. The mannequins are now leaping off the walls and ceiling. I failed miserably at this run. And I had to go back to the hospital. Not the other world hospital, the hospital, to do better. Preserve ammunition, preserve my health, and health drinks and syringes so I could actually make a real run at this. And it was needed because the prison was a nightmare. And it was so hard. And the weights were not working with me. But we got through there. I messed up the hangman puzzle once, but I got it on the second try. And then we went down and we ended up in Angela's home. And we learned a terrible part of her backstory after we defeat the abstract Addy. Now I didn't know this, that you could like run and hide in her little crevices like little Angela did once upon a time. I just beat the shit out of him with the fucking steel pipe the entire time. I don't think I spent a bullet on him. I just wailed on him with the pipe. From there, we get into the labyrinth. And I get lost. I get turned around. The mandarins were not helping me. That stupid fucking cube. I solidified not getting that Maria ending by never going back to see her. After a long time, we made it. We broke that fucking cube got broke. We made it out. We jumped into our grave. And it was time for the Eddie fight. And his hand cannon hit hard, but I was not losing to a dog killer. That wasn't happening. We took him down. I ran around. I think I got too comfortable with the steel pipe. Because I could have, like, choke him out with the rifle or whatnot. But I was just charging full blast, hitting him with the steel pipe. And I just kept getting shot. But we took him down. Took him down. And from there, it was off to the motel. And I immediately get lost. It was my fault. I don't really get lost. I missed a door on the map that led into the restaurant where you get the cutscene with Laura. And it took me way too long to realize I missed that door. I relearned to hate the Mandarin completely and totally hate him. That stealth level was bullshit. But we got through it, and I cried horribly over the last puzzle. But we finally made it into room 312, and we learned the devastating story of James. And then they immediately, gut punch you again by saying our farewell to Angela one last time. And we do the Pyramid Head fight, which was the Pyramid Head fight was a little disappointing because it was not as hard as I thought it was going to be. But then again, it's just dodge and shoot, dodge and shoot, dodge and shoot. But that last fight with Maria, though, that was a hard one. And it was like I had 1 health point left. I had no heals. I wasted all my bullets on her. And it came down to just me and the steel pipe. And just so glad it just took 1 more hit to take her down. Otherwise, I probably would have had to redo that fight again. That brings me to what ending did I get? The ending that I got, probably because I went back to that hospital and redid things, I ended up with the Leave ending. Which is an interesting ending, because I thought I'd get the in-water one. And we'll talk about the endings in a little bit. Alright, so I apologize for this, but I actually forgot to come back and talk about the endings. So I'm going to do a quick little voiceover talking about it, and we'll get back to the regular review in a moment or two. And when I first got the Leave ending, even with the original, when I played it the first time, I got the Leave ending my first playthrough. I was still a bit conflicted because I wasn't sure if James deserved to walk away, deserved to forgive himself for what he did. But the more time has passed and the more I think about it and the more I play it and deep dive, especially into James's psychology, the more I wonder if that's not the fitting end for him, is to forgive himself. Because when you really think about James's psychology, and he confessed to, hating her and wanting her out of the way and having his life back. But if that was all true, then there would be no game, because there would be no guilt behind what he did, and Silent Hill, as a place, needs guilt to run off of. And I mean, it's running to this extent with him. Then it shows that he may have told himself that, but it was never really true. And just how it shows you just like how hard caretakers have it, especially when they are watching the people they love die and suffer, and how hard that is on their mental state. And in that brief moment, his mental state came unglued. He wasn't James in that moment. And when he came out of it, he spiraled and just shoved everything into back of his mind and forgot everything. Even her death was 3 years ago, because that was when her disease started. So, and especially with having the leave ending too, is one of my favorite parts about this game, really, because it shows that Silent Hill isn't just there to torture you and make you suffer. It's there as a raw nerve. It's to rip open that inner part of you and show you your guilt and the things you're afraid of and the things you despise about yourself. And then asks you whether or not you deserve to live, deserve to have a second chance or not. And I think that's what really elevates Silent Hill to a whole different plane for me. And the more I think about it and the more I take everything into consideration, the more I do believe that James deserves to leave, and leave was a good ending to get. Alright, with that, back to the regular review. Thank you. But that was my gameplay. It was full of me screwing up a lot. It was full of me getting lost a lot. It took me 15 hours and 58 minutes, as you can tell. And I had a great time. And there's so many positives I could throw on here. So let's start from the top, right? The visuals in this game are beautiful. It's such a it's right from you get to Silent Hill, it's a gorgeous overlook of the town. And even with like the foggy uneasiness, it's like this is great. This is lovely. And then it slowly devolves around you. It gets more horrific. It gets more gory and twisted, psychologically fueled nightmare. And it always looks great. It's always beautiful. I love the little additional things that they did too. Like you see him checking off doors and writing and things in the map and codes and passwords and the fucking puzzle pieces and everything. You visibly see him doing it. And then whenever you like get stuff on his hand, like the ink, or when he's in the toilet, and you pull up the map real quick, you'll see his hand is still disgusting. The little touches are nice. The little things make things better, and they highlight the bigger things in the process. I was only half joking about those mannequins. They're a serious threat. They beat the shit out of me, and I loved it. It was great. The mannequins, and then like when I bumped into the nurses the first time, I had to take them seriously because the nurses were always a bigger threat than the mannequins. And if the mannequins are this hard, how hard are the nurses? And they were hard. They were tanky. They swung wildly. Running was not always an option in this game. Like in the OG, you can just run around them and they're never catching you. These guys will catch you. If you're not close enough to that door, they're going to run you down, or the mannequin's going to pounce on you, or the swing attack from the nurse is just going to wail on you. And if she gets you once, she could damn well get you all 3 times, and you are on the ropes if you're not careful. And I love that about this game too, because like Harry's combat, Harry, his name is James. Harry is from number 1. James's combat got boosted because of the engine and mobility now with these characters. So the enemies in turn got boosted, and they kept their threat, and now they feel like a threat. And when you enter a room, you have to take into consideration where everyone can be, and like sweep the moment you go through the door to try and get your eyes on everything. Because if you're not careful, they're going to kick your ass. And it was great. The detail too on them are amazing. And the sounds they make, it's almost uncomfortable to wail on them. Lovely work. Just great stuff. Carries us into sound design. I read a little bit, saw a little bit that they brought in the OG composer, and it shows. Like the score and the music in this slaps hard, and the sound effects are gross and unnerving. The random voices you hear is unnerving because it's like, is that something? Am I about to be attacked right now? What the hell's going on? Is this just a ghost? All right then. The boss fights too were a lot of fun. I like the little changes they did, like Flesh Lips being able to come down from the ceiling and spider walk around and beat the hell out of you. The biggest change was Abstract Daddy. Like I said, I didn't realize you could run around and hide, but that's such a nice touch. Like, you're not only watching the father or dad destroy their home because of his toxic and abusive ways, but you can hide like she did, and they can, like, it puts you more into Angela's mindset and how horrible it must have been for her. And everything they changed was always something to improve on the psychological terror that this story is putting you through, and the psychological moments that's weighing these characters down. Every little check in the box was to amplify that, and that was even shown in the boss fights. And I think that was one of their greatest strengths was like everything they did, story wise, and the puzzles and the clues, all of which every edition was to add to it and make this story feel not only fresh again for people who know it and played the original, but to make it that more heavy and that more impactful to people who have never played this game or have heard about the story before or only knew like baseline stuff about it. And that's a huge win. And I forgot about this. I have to put it in my notes. The puzzles were both fun and challenging and made me want to cry at times. That's a Silent Hill puzzle, baby. When you want to collapse mentally because of how hard this puzzle is, you know you did the right thing. Good job. Going back to the characters in the story, mocap team first off. Excellent job. Great job. I knew they were going to do an excellent job right from the moment you meet Angela when she's talking to James and she's like talking to him, fiddling with her hands and looking anxious and nervous. I'm like, you guys nailed it. This is going to be great. And it was. Mocap team, kick-ass fucking job. The voice acting team delivered. They had big shoes to fill and they filled them nicely. Luke Roberts, who did James, did a great job. Sympathetic and empathetic all the way throughout. Even when you learn the terrible truth of why he's here and what happened, you still feel bad for him. And that's the point of this game, is like, where do you stand? Do you feel bad for him, or do you think he's a bad guy? And he does such a great job that you can go either way. And you feel his emotional pain throughout. And that's, you feel all of their emotional pains, really, but he did great. Evie Templeton did a really great job as Laura. Same with Scott Hanning and Danny Curane, who was Eddie. Twisted. You really feel that he's more of a psycho than all the other characters, but you can feel his own pain and what his past has done to him coming out through his anger and sadness, especially. There was a lot of sadness within that anger. Gorka. I apologize to everyone. I'm terrible with names. Always am. If you haven't seen one of my videos, I got awful with this. But she was so much fun. I know she did the nurses and the lying figures. I don't know who did the mannequins. If she did the mannequins, great job. If she didn't do the mannequins, whoever did it, did a great job. Oh no. Salome Gunnar's daughter? Sorry. I'll put the name here. She did Mary and Maria. And she had some huge shoes and some big goals to hit. But those two speeches from Mary going down the hall and final letter, she delivered big time. She was needed the most, and she delivered. But the real show stealer here was Gina Kills, who did Angela. God damn. Like, Angela's always a sympathetic character to begin with. But the way Gina performed here, master strokes. like hopefully award-winning voice work here, because you feel every ounce of pain and anger and frustration and sorrow and sadness and defeat, and it makes it so much harder whenever Angela takes that final trip up those stairs, because Gina did such a what bang up job delivering on Angela. So what stole the show? Great, just fantastic. Round of applause to everyone. Standing ovation for Gina. It's amazing. This is easy. S tier, class here. Team Bloober knew the score. They knew what they needed to do here. They stuck true to the story. They added parts whenever it needed to be added. And it was all to make the story so much better. The gameplay was fantastic. The acting was wonderful. The puzzles were challenging. The layout was just like we remembered. Even the little changes they made here and there to the layouts was all to benefit the story and the game. And they killed it. As I said, if you don't want to hear me freaking out and rampaging, now's the time to leave. Have a good day, evening, night, afternoon, whatever, wherever you are. And as always, bye-bye. Let's give it to count 3, 2, 1. Listen, I get it. You can like or dislike whatever you want. I do remake versus original all the time. There are people who will bash a remake without touching it. That's your priority, man. You don't have to like anything. There's so many conversations around this game that can be had right now, from like the psychological effects on people based off the abuse they receive from pieces of shit human beings, and how bad it is and ways we can help and create ways to reach out to these people so they know they don't feel alone. We could talk about the medical society and the way they treat the dying people who are suffering and have no way of being saved. We could do all of that. And I'm stuck here having to comment on a bunch of fucking idiots who are screaming that Angela's not sexy enough. The sexual abuse victim whose entire story is depression and hell is not sexy enough for them. And yeah, I do have to comment on this. Normally I let this shit go, like woke commenters are stupid as fuck anyways. Just let them yell into the wind and let better people handle that conversation than me. Because I'm not very nice about this shit. And I'm not going to be nice here. Because this is just too fucking far. What the fuck is wrong with you? This isn't Silent Ass 2, the hunt for the pyramid-shaped dildo. Or whatever Rule 34 people are going to throw out about this game. Like, you are sexualizing a sexual abuse victim and screaming about it online like it fucking matters. It doesn't fucking matter. You're the fucking problem. Go outside, meet real people. Get a real fucking problem or shut the fuck up. Goodbye.